Hello guys, it's Dara here from DUFFYMAC. I hope you're well. It's a cold Thursday evening, but I feel that we're over the hard cold months. I feel we're coming into February. It's going to get a bit lighter, it's going to get a bit warmer, and then we're in the summer basically. So we've got that to look forward to. Guys, it's a really quick little video and it's something I've been thinking about a lot recently. It's about interviews and interview preparation. So I meet candidates, I meet loads of candidates every single week, and a lot of them ask me, how long should you spend on an interview, and how long should you spend preparing for an interview? And I try to reframe it in their heads, because what you can get is you can get people who don't prepare at all and they go into an interview and try and wing it, and I don't recommend that at all. But also you can get people who spend far too long on the wrong things, so you need to prepare in the right way on the right things and spend the right amount of time preparing as well, okay? So what I do is I reframe it in their heads. They're going for a job that they want. Let's say they really want this job, okay? They're going to be in this job, if it's full-time, for 40-ish hours a week, or more, or a little bit less, okay? Now, when you put it that way, and you're there kind of every week of the year nearly, is 4 or 5 hours of preparation asking too much? You're there 40 plus hours a week. So I genuinely think 4 or 5 hours of preparation for the interview is not too much to ask. Now, what do you prepare? So obviously it's the company. So go into detail. Who are their competitors? What's their USP? Look at the numbers. Look at their P&L. Look at their balance sheet. Have something to say. Why do you like the product? Why do you like the service? Why is this a company that you want to work for? What are their values? How do their values relate to your values? So I think you could spend a good hour and a half there really practicing that and coming up with real reasons why you want to work for the business. The second bit is the job itself. So this is a really important thing. So hopefully the recruiter or whoever you're going to the job interview for have sent you the job spec. Now, my best bit of advice is to go down that job spec, look at the different things on there and relate it to things you've done in the past, and maybe even have some examples of where you've done those things and brought value to the business before. So that's another probably hour and a bit. Third one is kind of generic questions. Now, I don't love these questions at all. So these are questions like, what's your biggest strength? What's your biggest weakness? Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? Not my favourite type of question, but guess what? They come up nearly every time. So you better be prepared. You better have an answer ready. So I think that's just stock. Just practice that. Come up with a real authentic answer and use that answer and be prepared for those questions. The fourth bit, the bread and butter of most interviews. Competency-based questions. So these can be anything from tell me a time you've tell me a time you've shown initiative in your job. Tell me a time you've improved the process. Tell me a time you've worked with a difficult person. Tell me a time you've failed on a project. Anything. There's hundreds of them. Now, this is the bread and butter. This is where you spend your time. This is where you come up with 4 or 5 really, really detailed examples of where you've brought value to the businesses that you've worked in the past, okay? Make sure that the examples that you've got are really, really detailed, so no matter what question they throw at you, there could be, there's hundreds of questions, so make sure they're detailed enough that whatever question they throw at you, you can use one of your examples and adapt it slightly to fit the question they're throwing at you. Now guess what? The only way you can do that and the only way you can think quickly and on your feet is by practice. And that's getting your partner, that's getting your parents, that's getting whoever you live with to work with you and ask you questions so that you're able to think on your feet and adapt the examples that you have, okay? So for me, that's the best bit of advice I can give you. 4 or 5 really detailed, solid, specific examples where you, not we, but you brought value to the businesses that you've worked in the past. Bring them forward, practice them, so they roll off the tongue, and then when you get into the interview, it's easy peasy, and the interview is the fun bit when you're fully prepared. So that's it, guys. That's the company, that's the job spec, that's the generic questions, and that's the competency-based questions. And I genuinely think it's not too much to ask to spend 4 or 5 hours of your time intensely working on that before the interview. And then also have some questions about the company, have some questions about the job, and be interested and show that you're passionate. It's been a pleasure, guys. That's my advice. It's nearly Friday, so smile and have a lovely weekend and have a lovely Friday, and hopefully speak to you soon. Cheers, guys.